I hate you, Lady Isolde hissed, throwing the expensive bouquet of blue roses onto the marble floor and crushing them beneath her heel. I find your face annoying, your voice grating, and your presence suffocating. Break off our engagement, Your Highness, before I make your life a living hell. Isolde panted, waiting for the inevitable explosion. She had just insulted the Crown Prince of the Empire. In any normal story, this would be the part where he yells, calls her a witch, and exiles her to the frozen north, which was exactly what she wanted. She looked up at Prince Damian. He was silent. His dark hair shadowed his eyes. He looked at the crushed flowers, then at her furious, flushed face. Then, slowly, a smile spread across his lips. Not a smile of anger, a smile of pure, terrifying delight. Finally, Damian whispered, stepping closer, invading her personal space. Everyone else in this palace offers me fake smiles and empty compliments. But you, Isolde, you are the only one who dares to show me your claws. He reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. Isolde froze in horror. I accept your challenge, he purred. Make my life hell, my dear. I think I'm going to enjoy it. Isolde screamed internally. Why won't he just let me go? 3 days ago, I, Lady Isolde Vermillion, remembered my past life. Or rather, I saw my future death. I was the villainess of a romance novel called The Rose and the Sword. In the original story, I was obsessed with Prince Damian. I bullied the heroine, a sweet commoner named Lily, and in the end, Damian cut off my head on the guillotine for treason. I woke up screaming. I am 18. The execution happens at 21. I have 3 years to change my fate. The plan was simple. Make Prince Damian hate me. Make him break the engagement so he can fall in love with the heroine when she arrives next month. I would retire to the countryside, marry a wealthy merchant, and live a long, lazy life. Simple, right? Wrong. I stood in front of my mirror, practicing my evil laugh. Ho ho ho. No, that sounded like Santa Claus. Mwahaha. Too cartoonish. My lady? My maid Sarah knocked on the door. Prince Damian is here. He invites you to tea in the royal gardens. Tell him I'm sick, I snapped. Tell him I have the plague, leprosy, anything. He says he brought his personal physician. Sarah replied nervously. I groaned. Fine. Dress me in the ugliest gown we have. The neon green one with the excessive ruffles. If I can't scare him away with my personality, I'll blind him with my fashion. The royal gardens were blooming with spring colors. Prince Damian sat at a white iron table, looking devastatingly handsome in a navy military uniform. I marched in wearing the neon green dress. It was hideous, clashed with my red hair. I looked like a poisonous caterpillar. Isolde. Damian stood up, offering me his hand. He didn't even blink at the dress. You look radiant, like a rare emerald. Is he colorblind? I wondered. I sat down, ignoring his hand. Let's get this over with. I hate tea. It tastes like leaf water. Coffee then? He signaled a servant. No, I want wine. Red wine. At 10 in the morning. I smirked. Surely, demanding alcohol before noon would shock him. A future queen must be poised and temperate. Damian didn't frown. He signaled the servant again. Bring the vintage Pinot Noir, the 1842 bottle. He looked at me, resting his chin on his hand. I admire a woman who knows what she wants. The court ladies are too afraid to drink in front of me. I chugged the wine glass in one go and slammed it on the table. I heard you authorized the tax increase on the northern borders. Stupid move. The peasants will revolt in winter. There. I had just insulted his politics. That was treason adjacent. Damian's eyes widened. He leaned forward, his gaze intense. You think so? Obviously. I rolled my eyes. If you want more gold, tax the luxury imports. The nobles will whine, but they won't riot. Starving peasants burn castles. Rich merchants just write angry letters. Damian stared at me for a long moment. The air grew heavy. My advisors have been debating that for weeks, he murmured. They were too afraid to tell me the truth about the peasant unrest. But you just threw it in my face. He smiled again, that dark, obsessive smile. You are not just beautiful, Isolde. You are brilliant. You would make a terrifying queen. I don't want to be queen, I shouted, standing up. I want to be left alone. I want to raise sheep. Sheep? Damian stood up too, towering over me. You are a dragon, Isolde. Dragons don't raise sheep. They eat them. He stepped closer, trapping me against the table. Try harder, he whispered against my ear. If you want me to let you go, you have to do better than a bad dress and good political advice. He kissed my cheek. It burned. See you at the ball tomorrow, my villainess. He walked away, leaving me standing there in my neon green dress, confused and terrified. He wasn't supposed to like it. He was supposed to hate me. Why does it feel like the more I push him away, the tighter the chains become? If being rude didn't work and being politically aggressive didn't work, I had to resort to the ultimate weapon of mass destruction in high society. Infidelity. Well, not real infidelity, just the suggestion of it. I stood before the mirror as Sarah tightened my corset. My lady, Sarah whispered, looking pale. Are you sure about this dress? It's very bold. The neckline is scandalous, and the color is black. Unmarried ladies usually wear pastels. Exactly, Sarah. I grinned at my reflection. Tonight, I am not a flower. I am a funeral. The plan was foolproof. At the grand ball tonight, I would ignore Prince Damian completely. Instead, I would dance with his greatest rival, Duke Cale of the North. Cale was cold, dangerous, and hated the royal family. If I flirted with the enemy in front of the entire court, Damian's pride would be shattered. He would have to break the engagement to save face. I walked out of the room, my black silk dress trailing behind me like a shadow. Goodbye, guillotine. Hello, freedom. The ballroom was suffocating. 1,000 candles, 1,000 eyes, and the smell of expensive perfume masking the stench of gossip. When I entered, the music stopped. Whispers erupted like wildfire. Is she wearing black? Did someone die? She looks like a witch. Perfect. I held my head high and scanned the room. Prince Damian was there, near the throne. He looked breathtaking in white and gold ceremonial armor. He spotted me instantly. His face lit up, and he started walking toward me. Nope, not happening. I turned sharply on my heel and walked straight toward Duke Cale, who was brooding in a corner. Duke Cale? I said loudly, curtsying low enough to be polite but high enough to be dismissive. The music is wasting away. Would you do me the honor? Duke Cale blinked. He looked at the approaching Prince Damian, then at me. A wicked smirk crossed his face. He knew exactly what I was doing. I would be delighted, Lady Isolde. He took my hand and swept me onto the dance floor. We began to waltz. I laughed loudly at his jokes, which weren't funny. I leaned in close, whispering nonsense just to make it look intimate. You are playing a dangerous game, my lady, Cale whispered. The prince looks like he wants to tear my throat out. Let him look, I replied breezily. I prefer men who aren't so possessive. I glanced over Cale's shoulder to check on my victory. I expected to see Damian angry. I expected to see him disgusted. Instead, I saw him standing perfectly still at the edge of the dance floor. He wasn't frowning. He was staring at Cale's hand on my waist with a look of absolute, icy murder. The glass of champagne in his hand shattered, blood and wine dripping onto the floor. He didn't even notice the cut. A shiver went down my spine. That wasn't the look of a man who wanted to break an engagement. That was the look of a predator deciding how to hide a body. The tension in the ballroom is thick enough to cut with a knife. Isolde thinks she's winning, but she has no idea she just poked a sleeping dragon. If you love stories where the male lead falls harder the more she pushes him away, and you want to see what Damian does next, hit that like button right now. It helps the algorithm find more romance fans like us. Now, let's see if Duke Cale survives the next 5 minutes. The music swelled. Cale spun me around, but when I turned back, Cale was gone. A hand gripped my waist. Hard. I looked up. Gold eyes burned into mine. "May I?" Prince Damian asked. It wasn't a question. "I was dancing with the Duke," I stammered, trying to pull away. His grip was iron. "The Duke felt unwell," Damian said smoothly. "He decided to leave the country. I believe he is packing as we speak." "He left," I gasped. "In the middle of a dance? Some men value their lives more than a waltz, Isolde." Damian pulled me flush against his chest. It was improper. It was scandalous. And it was terrifying. He began to lead the dance. He moved with a predatory grace, forcing me to follow his lead. "Black suits you," he whispered against my ear, ignoring the gasps of the crowd. "You look like a queen of the night. My queen. I tried to humiliate you," I hissed. "I danced with your rival. The court is laughing at you, Damian. Don't you have any pride?" Damian chuckled darkly. The sound vibrated through his chest into mine. "Let them laugh. If they look at you with disrespect, I will pluck out their eyes. And as for Kale," he stopped dancing. We were in the center of the room. Silence fell. "You were trying to make me jealous, weren't you?" he asked, a strange light in his eyes. "Yes." "Hate me for it. I was trying to show you that I am unfaithful." I lied. "That I am fickle." Damian smiled. He leaned down and kissed my forehead, right in front of everyone. "You are testing me," he concluded. "You wanted to see if I would fight for you. You wanted to know if my devotion was strong enough to withstand a little competition." "What? No, that's not." "It is," he interrupted. "And you have your answer, Isolde. I don't care who you dance with, because at the end of the night you come home with me. If another man touches what is mine, I will burn his house to the ground." He looked at me with such intense, terrifying adoration that my knees went weak. "You passed the test, my love. I'm never letting you go." I fled. I ran from the ballroom, ignoring Damian calling my name. I needed air. I needed to scream. I ran into the royal gardens, panting near the fountain. This was a disaster. Every attempt to make him hate me only made him more obsessed. I was running out of options. "Excuse me?" A soft, bell-like voice came from the shadows. I turned around. Standing there, looking lost and innocent, was a girl with golden blonde hair and big, teary blue eyes. She wore a simple white dress that made her look like an angel. My heart stopped. It was her, Lily, the heroine of the original novel. The woman Damian was supposed to fall in love with. She was early. She wasn't supposed to arrive for another month. I think I'm lost," Lily said, sniffing. "I'm looking for the prince. I have a letter for him." A spark of hope ignited in my chest. This was it. Fate was correcting itself. If I introduced them now, Damian would see her purity and realize that I was just a wicked villainess in a black dress. I straightened up, wiping the sweat from my face. I put on my best haughty, villainous smile. Well, I sneered, stepping toward the heroine. "A lost little rat in the palace garden? Let me take you to the prince myself." I grabbed Lily's hand. "Come on, Destiny. Work your magic." But as I dragged the confused heroine back toward the ballroom, I didn't notice the shadow watching us from the balcony above. Damian was watching, and he didn't look at Lily. He looked at me holding another person's hand. And for the first time, he didn't look amused. He looked hungry. I dragged Lily into the ballroom like a prize pig at a county fair. "Look!" I shouted, perhaps a bit too loudly, shoving the terrified girl toward Prince Damian. "Look what I found in the garden. Isn't she radiant?" Damian stopped drinking his new glass of wine. He looked at Lily, then he looked at me, then he looked at his watch. "Isolde," he said, his voice flat, "why are you holding the gardener's daughter? She is not a gardener." I insisted, pinching Lily's arm to make her speak. "She is a lost lamb. Look at those big, teary blue eyes. Look at that blonde hair like spun gold. Doesn't she make you want to protect her? Say yes. Fall in love. Dump me." Damian took a step forward. Lily squeaked and hid behind my back. "She is trembling," Damian noted coldly. She is weak. I dislike weak things. He reached out and grabbed my hand, pulling me away from Lily. You, on the other hand, look like a storm cloud in that black dress. Much more interesting. But she has a letter. I grabbed the letter from Lily's shaking hands and shoved it at Damian's chest. Read it. Maybe she's a long-lost princess. Maybe she's your soulmate. Damian sighed, looking at me with the patience of a saint dealing with a toddler. He took the letter. He didn't even open it. He handed it to a nearby guard. Burn this, he ordered. What? I screamed. That could have been important. If it takes your attention away from me for more than 10 seconds, it is not important, Damian stated. He stepped closer, boxing me in against a marble pillar. The poor heroine was left standing awkwardly in the middle of the dance floor, ignored by everyone. Isolde? Damian whispered, playing with a lock of my red hair. Are you trying to adopt her? Is that it? Do you want a pet? A pet? I sputtered. She's a human being. If you want her, you can keep her. Damian shrugged, as if talking about a stray cat. I will assign her to your cleaning staff, but don't expect me to look at her. My eyes are reserved for you. He leaned down, his breath hot on my neck. Stop trying to distract me with toys. My love, it insults my devotion. The plan was failing. The timeline was broken. The prince was supposed to fall for Lily at first sight. Instead, he just hired her as a maid to shut me up. I needed to escalate. The next day, a package arrived at my estate. It was wrapped in black velvet with the royal seal. Oh no, Sarah whispered. Is it a severed head? He threatened Duke Kale last night. I opened the box. It wasn't a head. It was a necklace. A choker, to be precise. Made of heavy diamonds and dark obsidian, with a ruby in the center that looked suspiciously like a drop of blood. There was a note, to match your dress, and to remind everyone who you belong to. Wear it tonight, or I will come and put it on you myself. D. I stared at the jewelry. It was beautiful, and it looked terrifyingly like a collar. He's marking his territory, I realized, horrified. He's treating me like a prize dog. It's very romantic, Sarah sighed dreamily. In a terrifying way. I can't wear this. I threw it on the bed. If I wear this, I accept his claim. I need to make him hate me. I need to return it. But how do you return a gift to a prince who executes people for sneezing wrong? I had an idea. Terrible, wonderful idea. I would give the necklace to Lily. If Damian saw the heroine wearing his gift, he would be furious at me. He would call me ungrateful. He would realize I didn't care about his feelings. And maybe, just maybe, he would look at Lily and see how pretty she looked in diamonds. I found Lily scrubbing the floors of the hallway. Damian really had made her a maid. Unbelievable. Lily pulled her up. Stand up. You are too pretty to scrub floors. Lady Isolde. She curtsied, trembling. Please don't hit me. I missed a spot, I know. I'm not going to hit you. I'm going to give you a promotion. I pulled the diamond choker from my pocket. Here, put this on. Lily's eyes bulged. Am I lady? That looks expensive. I couldn't. Take it. I clasped it around her neck. It hung a bit loose, but it sparkled. Now go to the prince's study. Deliver his tea. Make sure he sees the necklace. Smile at him. Bat your eyelashes. Go. I pushed the confused girl toward the royal study and hid behind a tapestry to watch. This was it. The moment he would snap. Lily knocked. Enter. Damian's voice came from inside. Lily walked in with the tea tray. I peeked through the crack in the door. Damian was writing documents. He didn't look up. Tea, your highness, Lily squeaked. Damian glanced up. His eyes landed on the tray. Then they moved up to Lily's face. He looked bored. Then his eyes dropped to her neck. The air in the room froze. The temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees instantly. Damian stood up slowly. The quill in his hand snapped in two. Where? Damian's voice was a low growl, like a beast waking up. Where did you get that? Lily froze. Lady Isolde gave it to me. She said it was a gift. I smiled behind the tapestry. Yes, See how ungrateful I am? Hate me. Damian walked around the desk. He didn't look at Lily's face. He stared at the necklace with a look of cold, calculated violence. She gave it to you, he repeated softly. She rejected my claim. She said it looked better on me. Lily lied. Bless her heart. She was trying to be polite. Damian laughed. It wasn't a happy laugh. It was the sound of glass breaking. She thinks she can pass my devotion to another? He whispered to himself. She thinks she can replace herself? He reached out and unclasped the necklace from Lily's neck with one hand. He didn't care that he scratched her skin. He took the jewelry back. Get out, he said to Lily. Why, yes, your highness. Lily ran. She ran right past my hiding spot, weeping. Damian stood alone in the office, clutching the diamond choker until his knuckles turned white. Isolde, he murmured, looking at the empty doorway. You want to play games? Fine. I tried to be gentle. I tried to woo you with gifts. He crushed the diamonds in his hand. If you won't wear my collar willingly, I will simply have to chain you to my side so you can never give it away again. I slid down the wall behind the tapestry, my heart hammering. He wasn't angry at me. He wasn't breaking the engagement. He was planning a cage. I didn't have to wait long for the fallout. An hour after the necklace incident, the ground shook. Not an earthquake. Horses. Lots of them. I looked out my window to see 50 royal guards surrounding my estate. They weren't wearing parade uniforms. They were in full battle armor. Finally, I shouted, grabbing my bag, which I had packed with snacks and gold. They're here to arrest me. He finally snapped. To the dungeon we go. I ran downstairs, ready to accept my exile. The captain of the guard bowed stiffly. Lady Isolde, Prince Damian requests your presence at the palace immediately. Requests? I scoffed. With 50 armed men? That sounds more like a kidnapping, Captain. The prince is concerned for your safety, the captain said, his face blank. He believes there are thieves trying to steal his treasures. He wishes to secure his most valuable asset. My stomach dropped. Asset? I was shoved into a carriage with blacked-out windows. We didn't go to the dungeon. We went straight to the royal palace, but not to the guest wing. We went to the emperor's private tower. The tower room was opulent. Velvet rugs, gold furniture, vases of fresh red roses everywhere. It was beautiful, and the door had no handle on the inside. I pounded on the wood. Let me out. This is kidnapping. I have rights. The door clicked and swung open. Prince Damian stood there. He looked calm, terrifyingly calm. He was holding a piece of parchment. Welcome home, my love, he smiled. It was the smile of a wolf who had finally cornered the rabbit. Home. I backed away. I have a home. It's 20 miles that way. Not anymore. Damian closed the door and locked it. He placed the key in his pocket. I realized today that I have been too lenient. I gave you freedom, and you used it to try and give yourself away to a maid. I cannot allow that risk again. He held up the parchment. So, I have spoken to the high priest. Our wedding date has been moved. Moved? I asked, trembling. To when? Next month. Damian stepped closer, pinning the parchment to the wall with a dagger he pulled from his belt. Tomorrow at noon. I choked on air. Tomorrow. You can't marry me tomorrow. A royal wedding takes months to plan. The guests, the dress, the cake. The guests are already here. Damian dismissed. The dress is in the closet, and I don't care about cake. I only care about the vows. Specifically, the part where you swear to be mine until death. He stroked my cheek. His fingers were cold. You tried to run, Isolde. Now, I'm making sure you never have to run again. You can't do this. I tried to use logic. Damian, listen to me. I don't love you. I am cruel. I am selfish. I gave your gift to a servant. I am a terrible person. Damian walked over to the vanity table. Sitting there was the diamond choker I had given to Lily. He picked it up. The diamonds sparkled in the candlelight. You don't love me? He asked softly. That's fine. He turned to me. I have enough love for both of us. My obsession is heavy enough to anchor us both. Isolde, you don't need to love me. You just need to stay. He walked over to me. I hit the wall. Nowhere to go. Turn around, he commanded. No. He spun me around gently but firmly. He placed the cold diamonds against my throat. You tried to reject this, he whispered against my ear as he clasped the necklace. You tried to put it on another woman, but it was made for your neck, Isolde. Pulses with my magic. If you try to take it off again, it will tighten. I gasped, clutching the necklace. Felt heavy like a shackle. You're insane, I whispered. I am in love, he corrected. He kissed the back of my neck, right over the clasp. And tomorrow the whole world will know that you belong to me. Sleep well, my fiancé. You have a big day tomorrow. He walked to the door. Damian, I screamed. He stopped. If you marry me, I threatened, I will make your life miserable. I will burn this palace down. Damian looked back over his shoulder. His eyes were glowing. Burn it, he said. I'll just build a new one from the ashes. As long as you are holding the match, I don't care what burns. The lock clicked shut. I was alone. I ran to the window. It was a sheer drop 300 feet down to the jagged rocks of the moat. Okay. I paced the room. Okay. Think. Isolde, you are the villainess. You have 3 years of plot knowledge. What would the original Isolde do? Original Isolde would have been thrilled. She would be picking out flowers. Useless. I kicked the bed. Wait, the heroine. Lily. I had been so focused on Damian that I forgot about Lily. In the original novel, Lily had a secret power. She could unlock magical seals. That's why she was the protagonist. If that necklace was magical, maybe Lily could unlock the door. Or the window. I needed to get a message to the maid quarters. I looked around the room. A napkin. A lipstick. I scribbled a frantic message on the napkin. Help. Prisoner in West Tower. Come through servant tunnels. Bring a rope. And a hammer. I folded it. I went to the balcony. I saw a guard patrolling below. One of the regular guards, not Damian's elites. I wrapped the napkin around a heavy perfume bottle and threw it. It landed near the guard. He looked up. I ducked. He picked it up. He unfolded it. Please take it to Lily. Please be a loyal servant to the crown, not the prince. The guard looked at the note. Then he looked up at my tower. He nodded once, and he ran toward the servants' quarters. I let out a breath. Hope, but I forgot one thing. In a Yandere novel, there are no loyal guards. There are only the prince's spies. 10 minutes later, my door opened. It wasn't Lily. It was Damian. He was holding my perfume bottle. And the napkin. You dropped this, he said, his voice void of emotion. He crushed the napkin in his hand. It seems, he said, walking toward me, that locking the door wasn't enough. I see I need to be more thorough. He pulled a length of silk ribbon from his pocket. Sit on the bed, Isolde. He didn't use chains. Chains would leave bruises. And Damian treated my skin like it was made of rare porcelain. He used red silk ribbons. He tied my wrists to the mahogany headboard of the bed. Not tight enough to cut off circulation, but tight enough to ensure I couldn't reach the window, the door, or the sharp hairpin I had left on the vanity. It's for your own good, he whispered, sitting in the chair beside the bed. He didn't leave. He stayed there all night, watching me. Every time I opened my eyes, pretending to wake up from a nightmare, he was there, watching, smiling, waiting. I didn't sleep. I lay there, counting the seconds until my execution. Because that's what a wedding to a madman is. An execution with cake. When the sun rose, the ribbons were untied. But my freedom didn't return. A fleet of handmaids swarmed the room. They didn't speak. They didn't look me in the eye. They moved with the terrified efficiency of people who knew that one mistake meant death. They scrubbed me, perfumed me, and shoved me into the wedding dress. It wasn't the dress I had chosen. The dress I picked was simple, elegant. This was a statement. It was white, but it was embroidered with so many diamonds and rubies that it weighed 50 pounds. The train was 10 feet long. The veil was thick lace, obscuring my vision. "It's too heavy," I gasped as they tightened the corset. "I can't breathe." "You don't need to breathe." Damian's voice came from the doorway. "You just need to stand there and be mine." He walked in. He was wearing a black military uniform with gold epaulets, a stark contrast to my white prison. He looked devastatingly handsome. He looked like the devil coming to collect a soul. He dismissed the maids with a wave of his hand. They fled. "You look perfect," he said, lifting my veil. He stared at my face, searching for something. "Fear? Love? Resignation? Are you going to run again, Isolde?" "I can barely walk in this dress," I muttered. "So no, you win. I always win." He kissed my forehead. "The carriage is waiting. The people are cheering. Don't disappoint them." The ride to the cathedral was a blur of noise. I heard the citizens cheering for the royal wedding. They had no idea. They thought this was a fairy tale. They didn't see the iron grip Damian had on my hand, crushing my fingers together. The cathedral doors opened. The organ music blasted, shaking the stained glass windows. The pews were packed. Every noble in the empire was there. I saw Duke Kale in the front row. He looked pale. He had a bandage around his neck, a reminder of the warning Damian had given him at the ball. He didn't look at me. He stared at his shoes. There was no help coming. Damian led me down the aisle. He didn't walk fast. He savored every step, parading his prize before the court. I felt like a trophy being carried to a display case. We reached the altar. The high priest was sweating. His hands shook as he held the holy book. "We are gathered here today," the priest squeaked. Damian stared at him. "Skip the preamble. Get to the vows." The priest gulped. "Do you, Prince Damian, take this woman?" "I do," Damian interrupted. "I take her. I claim her. I bind her to me in this life and the next. If death tries to part us, I will kill death too." A murmur went through the crowd. That wasn't the standard vow. The priest turned to me. He looked terrified. "And do you, Lady Isolde, do you take this man?" I looked at the crowd. Hundreds of witnesses. If I screamed "No" right now, what would happen? Would they help me? Or would Damian burn the cathedral down with everyone inside? I looked at Damian. His hand moved to his waist. Not to hold my hand, but to rest on the hilt of his sword. It was a subtle threat, invisible to everyone but me. "Say it or I kill them all." That was the message. I looked at the stained glass window depicting a saint. God wasn't watching. Only the devil was. My voice cracked, cleared my throat. "I do." Damian's smile was blinding. He didn't wait for the priest to say, "You may kiss the bride." He grabbed me, dipping me low, and crushed his lips against mine. It wasn't a kiss of affection. It was a brand. He was searing his ownership into my soul. "Mine," he whispered against my lips as he pulled back. Finally, we turned to face the crowd. They applauded. They cheered. Flowers rained down on us. As we walked back down the aisle, I saw her. Lily, the heroine. She was standing near the back, holding a basket of flower petals. She looked at me. I tried to signal her with my eyes. "Help me. You are the protagonist. Do something." But Lily didn't look like a hero. She looked at me with pure, unadulterated horror. She flinched when I looked at her. She hid behind a pillar. Why was she afraid of me? Then I remembered the rumors Damian had been spreading. He told the court I was a witch who had bewitched him. He told them I was dangerous. He had isolated me completely. Even the heroine thought I was the villain. I stumbled as we exited the cathedral into the blinding sunlight. Damian caught me instantly. "Careful, my wife," he purred, helping me into the royal carriage. "You seem unsteady." The carriage door slammed shut. The curtains were drawn. We were alone in the dark velvet box. Damian pulled me into his lap, wrapping his arms around my waist, burying his face in the neck of my wedding dress. "Now," he mumbled into my skin, sounding intoxicated by the scent of my fear. "The wedding is over. The boring part is done." He looked up, his golden eyes glowing in the shadows of the carriage. "Now we go to the honeymoon. I have prepared a special place for us. Isolde. An island. No guards. No servants. No boats." My blood ran cold. "Just you," he smiled. "And me. Forever." The carriage lurched forward. I wasn't going to a palace. I was going to a prison in the middle of the ocean. And I had just said I do to the warden. The island was beautiful. It was a paradise of white sand, crystal blue water, and lush jungle. It was also a cage. There was only one house, a sprawling white villa on the cliff edge. There were no servants. There were no boats. The ship that dropped us off had vanished over the horizon with strict orders not to return for a month. For 3 days, I didn't speak to him. I sat on the balcony, watching the sea, plotting swimming routes that I knew were impossible. The currents were too strong. The sharks were waiting, and Damian was always watching. He cooked for me. He cleaned. He brushed my hair every night. He played the role of the devoted husband perfectly, ignoring the fact that his wife was a prisoner of war. "Eat," he said softly on the 4th night, placing a plate of roasted fish in front of me. "You're getting thin." "I'm not hungry," I said, staring at the ocean. "I'm waiting to die." Damian sighed. He sat down opposite me. The candlelight flickered in his golden eyes. He looked tired. The veneer of the perfect prince was cracking. "Why do you fight it so hard, Isolde?" he asked, his voice raw. "Is it really so terrible? To be worshipped? To have the world at your feet? I have given you a kingdom. I have given you my soul. What more do you want?" "I want to choose," I shouted, standing up and knocking the chair over. "I don't want to be worshipped, Damian. I want to be free. You didn't marry me. You stole me. Because you were going to leave," he roared back, standing up. The glass in the windows rattled. "I saw the way you looked at the maps. I saw you packing your bags. If I hadn't locked you in that tower, you would have vanished." He walked around the table, stalking toward me. "And I cannot survive without you. You are the only thing in this gray, miserable world that has any color. If you leave, the world ends. Do you understand? I will burn it all down just to find you in the ashes." He backed me against the balcony railing. The wind whipped my hair across my face. "So hate me," he whispered, grabbing my hand and placing it over his heart. I could feel it beating, frantic, terrified. "Hate me if you must, but do it here, with me." I looked at him. I looked at the man who was powerful enough to crush armies, yet terrified of a single girl leaving him. I felt the cold metal of the dinner knife I had swiped from the table hidden in my sleeve. I slid it into my hand. I pressed the tip against his chest, right over his heart. Damian looked down at the knife. He didn't flinch. He didn't stop me. He smiled. "Do it," he breathed. "If the only way I can keep you is as my killer, then take it. Be the last thing I see." He leaned into the blade. A small spot of red bloomed on his white shirt. He was insane. He was utterly, irrevocably broken. And in that moment, looking into his desperate, worshipping eyes, I realized the truth. Lily, the heroine, would have screamed. She would have fainted. She would have died in a week with a man like this. Only I could handle him. Only a villainess could hold the leash of a monster. If I killed him, I would be free. But I would be alone. And I would be bored. I looked at the knife. Then I looked at the ocean. I pulled the blade back. I threw it over the railing. It spun in the moonlight before splashing into the sea below. Damian let out a shuddering breath. "You missed." "I didn't miss," I said, my voice steady. "I changed the plan." I reached up and grabbed him by the collar of his shirt, pulling him down to my level. "You want to keep me, Damian? Fine, you keep me. But we play by my rules now." His eyes widened. "Anything. First," I said, "we go back to the capital. I am not living on a rock like a castaway. I am a queen, and I expect to be treated like one." "Done," he whispered. "The ship returns at your command." "Second," I continued, stepping closer, invading his space for once. "You stop locking doors. You stop hiding me. If you trust your obsession so much, then trust that I won't leave. If you lock me in a cage again, I won't kill you. I will ignore you. I will look through you like you are glass. Forever. Fear flashed in his eyes. The thought of my indifference scared him more than the knife. I promise, he choked out. No more cages. Good. I smoothed the collar of his shirt where I had wrinkled it. I looked at the bloodstain where the knife had pricked him. You are a monster, Damian, I told him softly. I know, but I smiled, a wicked, sharp smile that matched his own. You are my monster. Damian made a sound like a dying man finding water. He wrapped his arms around me, lifting me up, burying his face in my neck. He was shaking. Yours, he vowed into my skin. Always yours. Use me, break me, rule me. Just don't leave me. I wrapped my arms around his shoulders. I looked out at the moon over the dark ocean. I hadn't escaped my fate. I hadn't changed the story, but I had twisted it. I wasn't the victim anymore. I wasn't the villainess who got beheaded. I was the queen who had tamed the dragon. Let's go home, husband, I whispered. We have an empire to terrify. Damian pulled back, looking at me with a love so intense it burned. Yes, he said, my queen. He kissed me, and this time it wasn't a brand. It was a surrender. The villainess had won, not by running away, but by becoming exactly what the monster needed. And God help anyone who tried to stand in our way now.